There was a lot of excitement from the fans when Deadpool director Tim Miller decided to give us a sequel to Terminator: The Dark Fate, and yet it turned out to be another one of those flopped attempts at bringing excitement to the franchise. But Netflix has taken an exciting step towards bringing the franchise back by giving an anime take on this world, and yes, it will be set in Tokyo. Well, let's jump into this story and see the details released regarding Terminator Zero from Netflix and what we can expect from it. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. What is Terminator Zero? When we thought the Terminator franchise was taking a break, Netflix dropped a bombshell, an upcoming anime series set in this beloved universe. As seen in the sensational Arcane, Netflix's track record with anime has us all buzzing with anticipation. Terminator Zero promises to be an exhilarating addition, and there's literal proof for it that if you look at the projects that the creator of the series, Mattson Tomlin, has helmed, this man co-wrote The Batman alongside director Matt Reeves, and all jokes apart, it was a completely fresh and original take on the Cape Crusader and his world of characters. But we can't talk about that considering he didn't get the credit for that, maybe because of the percentage of contribution he had in the writing. Another brilliant project from Tomlin is the 2020 Netflix film Project Power. Even though it makes for an okay story in a time when there are many superhero projects everywhere, it surely does stand out as an original take. A world where pills give you momentary superpowers has so many possibilities, and the movie almost does live up to the expectations of these crazy possibilities. A new Terminator entry has been doubtful in the past few years because the projects must still live up to the expectations. Remember when James Cameron started marketing for Dark Fate and the movie was similar to Salvation or Genesis? Even Arnold Schwarzenegger's return to action in the role of the T-800 was not able to save the franchise, which is sad. But a wholly original take on the franchise with original characters and the possibility of every other movie we have seen so far being canon, that does create some hype. So before we give you hope, let's check out the series' plot. The plot, what's it all about? Even though the fact that this series is coming has been indicated in the recently added Worth the Wait branch for quite a while now, the streaming platform only recently released the plot for the anime. 2022, a future war has raged for decades between the human survivors and an endless army of machines. 1997, the AI Skynet gained self-awareness and began a war against humanity. Caught between the future and this past is a soldier sent back in time to change the fate of humanity. She arrives in 1997 to protect a scientist named Malcolm Lee, who works to launch a new AI system designed to compete with Skynet's impending attack on humanity. As Malcolm navigates the moral complexities of his creation, he's haunted by an unrelenting assassin from the future, which forever alters the fate of his 3 children. The story will not stick to the routine Sarah Connor or John Connor arc, and instead will introduce a fresh new story with new characters. But the story might sound similar to the usual Connor arc considering John did bring the uprising, which wasn't precisely an AI competition to Skynet, but more on the human side. But that's not considering we will witness a whole new setting for this Terminator storyline as it takes place in Tokyo. That means there is potential for a wholly different way the action will be executed here. Even writer Mattson Tomlin has indicated that this brings a lot of new elements to this world with a change in setting. For example, when he first brought up the script to the studio, it had a scene where citizens in Tokyo pulled out guns. Yeah, that does sound exciting, but the people from Production IG, the studio that brought us Ghost in the Shell, Jinro, the Wolf Brigade, etc., stated that it is not expected to see firearms in Japan. They specifically said that even though some people might have it, it is difficult to acquire them, but that doesn't pose a challenge considering we can expect some cool sword fights to replace the guns. Remember T-1000 sword arms from Terminator 2? We will probably see a battle sequence that consists entirely of that. The plot details indicate that time travel will again play a significant role in the series, and there's even a shot of the time machine in one of the released shots. Matt mentioned bringing in tropes from the original movie that were entirely in the later sequels. A particular horror aspect brought by James Cameron made us fear Schwarzenegger's android and almost put him on the list of horror greats like Jason Voorhees and Freddy Krueger. The later movies killed this thing, but there's no wonder T-1000 still makes it into the list of scary characters in cinema history. The idea that there will be original characters bringing this horror element back, as we will need clarification regarding the nature of the characters we see first. Kyle Reese's character from the first Terminator was mysterious, and we could not take sides with him immediately, and then who can forget that hallway scene from Judgment Day when John Connor got between T-1000 and T-800s, and fans only then realized who would be the savior? It changed cinema in many ways, but this trope has disappeared since then. However, we can only hope such things can be returned with an anime project featuring original characters. There is one question that bothers all of us. Something that has ever been around every Terminator project, whether it will have Arnold Schwarzenegger. Every project so far has had an appearance from the star, including the weird CGI version in Salvation and the photos in Sarah Connor Chronicles. Since this would be a wholly original take, does this allow us to see a new savior robot from the future, or will it just be the humans against the robots? Characters from Terminator franchise who might appear. Still, many characters from the vast list of Terminators could make a cameo. After all, Netflix wouldn't mind doing some fan service, but then we're left wondering which character will make this transition from live action to anime. John Connor. John Connor has been an essential part of this franchise, starting from the first time we saw him in his own timeline in T2 Judgment Day. This inclusion doesn't mean a cameo from Edward Furlong, but doesn't the storyline of the protagonist from the series sound somewhat similar to Connor's? Maybe at some point during the time travel scenes we will witness him making a cameo, even though that sounds like one of those Portal cameo scenes from Rick and Morty. But yeah, this Resistance fighter's presence in the series might make for some fantastic fan service. Sarah Connor. Remember, it felt like Dark Fate would be a completely different story until Linda Hamilton entered and became a part of the plot? That is not exactly what we're asking for, and we are sure that Linda Hamilton would want to do that either. But it would be fun to see this recurring Terminator character appear in another project. I mean, there's only one project where she didn't appear, and that was Salvation, and yet we got to see CGI Arnold Schwarzenegger fill that hole. Kyle Reese. Kyle Reese was the movie's first human character to make the time jump, which speaks a lot about him. Remember when he discovered that Anton Yelchin was Kyle Reese in Salvation? It built the entire arc and connected it to the first Terminator film. However, since the anime has stated that it will be in canon with all the movies, a more significant presence from Reese might start going towards how his being John's father might mess up the storyline. So a mere cameo might be enough to tie up the Terminator universe. Miles Dyson. Miles Dyson comes to mind if we ask you about one character that looks pretty close to Malcolm Lee's based on the anime's plot. Malcolm designs an AI that will be the competitor to the Skynet, a storyline that has never been touched upon before considering it has only been humans against the robots. Even though he is being told that he will deal with the consequences of his creation, that's one detail we didn't see with Miles. Miles gave up his work at Skynet after discovering what would happen in the future, and we didn't get to make a significant move to prevent the future. However, this approach toward Malcolm Lee's character might allow us to see Miles make a cameo as someone working for his organization and finally show the remorse we had been expecting all along. Star. Over the years, the franchise has brought much attention to more minor characters by making them an essential part of the lore. It's not like these characters didn't have a significant role in the fate of the war between humans and machines, but they made tiny appearances. One such character was Star from the Salvation movie, and it would be pretty random and yet fantastic to see this character make a cameo in the anime. After all, it was just a kid. She might have referenced events of Salvation in the anime, and it is not a lie that Salvation had some of the most incredible sequences. Characters from Terminator to Sarah Connor Chronicles. Terminator Zero is not the first time we're getting a series based on the Terminator universe, because the 2008 series, The Sarah Connor Chronicles, was a brilliant addition to the lore. There were a lot of crazy reactions from the fans when this show was initially announced. Still, we saw some brilliant franchise elements brought into the television format with absolute success. But over the years, the movies have never really referenced or made any connection with the series, which has also impacted the fact that only a few people saw the show. Bringing this series into the canon would be brilliant by getting a cameo from many characters. The time machine working into the plot is something the series worked out brilliantly. Let's hope the anime also utilizes it in that manner. When will it be released? What is the most crucial date according to the Terminator franchise, the very date that will convert the entire world into a battlefield with billions of lives being taken away due to a nuclear holocaust due to the poor intentions of the creators of Skynet? Yes, August 29th, 1997. It seems that Netflix went thoroughly into the lore and made a cheeky reference a part of the series itself, as Terminator Zero has been announced to be released on August 29th on the streaming platform. But it seems like the anime will be pitted against the second season of The Rings of Power, which will also be released on the same date on Amazon Prime. Marvelous verdict. Netflix has given us an anime rendition of many American franchises, and many projects have recently taken this anime. After all, we recently discovered that the Blade Runner franchise will also be getting an anime and a live-action series. It is interesting to see an anime spin on some of our favorite characters, considering some fantastic details in these shows to give us an excellent viewing experience. Remember when the legendary Katsuhiro Otomo gave us a brilliant anime take on the world of Blade Runner with a short film, Blackout 2022? Yes, we can expect to see that in the Terminator anime, even though Tokyo will play a significant role in it. Let's just hope the anime doesn't stop unleashing the many possibilities this series opens up in the Terminator franchise. If you like the content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.